All right, so let's get started. So my name is Kim. That's a picture of me there. So I'm a developer evangelist, intern at GitHub this summer. My hackathon is Con Hacks, if you haven't heard it. It's in Montreal. Talk to Gracie over there if you have any questions. So I was part of the team that started the hackathon back in 2014, led the team last year, and I've happily handed it off to Gracie and Bernie. I've been an MSP so that's a Microsoft student partner. I've organized tons of events with different kind of companies, communities, so that's kind of the background on me. So I just want to make it clear what we're going to do today, what we're going to get out of the workshop. So we're going to kind of take a look at your communities and kind of try to define an event that's going to fit your community, because I truly believe that there's not a one-size-fits-all, and you really need to customize it better to your community, what's going to work. Everyone learns differently, everyone likes different things, and based on your community, you can kind of go through that way. So to get excited, we're going to actually, if you don't mind, stand up. All right, that's great. Thank you. So you all can go sit back down. Thank you for getting up. It's also good to change pace. Don't want to be sitting the whole time. Open my laptop back up. So I kind of just want to start off quickly with a GIF I found online. I'm actually in it. So this is me last year coming to Hackcon. My first one, I had no idea what to expect. It was pretty scary, but the weekend ended up being amazing. I was hoping this would be at the beginning, but that's all good. I hope you guys really got everything you wanted out of this weekend, and there's still an opportunity. There's going to be lunch and a final keynote, so get to know at least 3 or 4 other people. So that's kind of why we're all here today. We love hackathons, and we know that there's a little bit of secret to it. And what I mean by this is that we know that there's these special things like opportunity, things like passion, innovation, exploration, and all these things kind of boil down to our community. And that's why we're organizers, and that's why we're kind of bringing it to our communities kind of thing. And so it's really important for us to make our community feel safe, feel comfortable, and feel really supported. And I truly believe that this can be done through events. And so it's really up to us to kind of give them the building blocks that they need to really feel like they can develop their skills. And that's, going to encourage the cycle. And so kind of why is this important? And I really feel like the importance of giving these kind of building blocks to people is going to lower the barrier of entry. It's going to foster bonds. And when you foster bonds with people, you can learn a lot better as a community and also gain confidence. So I want to jump in already into activity number 1. So that's really knowing your audience. Who here feels like you have a really solid foundation on your community? Like just raise your hand. I'm not going to pick on you, so just raise your hand. Okay, keep your hand up. And who feels like they're still trying to learn? And this is not necessarily based on time, but you could have been doing this for a year and you still don't feel like you have a hook into your community. Raise your hand. Cool, okay. Awesome. So that's the first step, is knowing if you have an existing community or you're still trying to build it. So do you all have the worksheets? Feel free to come up and grab some. So we're going to work through it. So the first real question we kind of want to ask ourselves is, what's the size of our community? And when I say size, I mean not just the size of your Facebook group. I mean those who are really participating, who are engaging, who are asking questions on your Facebook group, and those kind of things. Think about the current resources that you have. Do you have a place to hold events on campus? Maybe your school is too small, you don't have something. Do you have content to share? Do you have access to speakers? And I don't necessarily mean professional speakers. This could be students who want to share what they've learned. And what are your communication tools? Are you communicating with your community through newsletters, through a Facebook group, Slack, like what kind of things? So I'm going to give you a minute to go over that. Talk to the person next to you, the person behind you, and see what they have to say. So. Okay, so exercise 2, we're really going to try and define our mission, because it's really important to when you're trying to bring people into your community, to know what you want to say to them. You don't want it to be like a big long story. You want to have a good like elevator pitch, 30 seconds of who you are, what you are. So yeah, like I said, it's really important to know what your message is to your audience, and this is really important for those who are saying, you know, you don't really have a solid community yet, and this is going to be very important. So start thinking, for exercise 2, think of 4 core words that you'd associate with your community. And I just kind of gave some examples. It doesn't have to be this. This is just if you can't think of anything. Is your club around open source, around cloud computing, or maybe it's more general? Maybe it's just about learning. Maybe it's just about networking. Like, try to explore these kind of words. And talk to the person next to you. I'll give you, again, 2-3 minutes, and we'll share with each other cool things that we thought of. So take 2-3 minutes to go through that. Okay, so does anyone have something they want to share? Words that are not on here that you came up with or that you already have that you associate with your community? Throw them words out there. I want to hear them.
Collaboration.
Collaboration, love it.
Hacking.
Hacking, awesome.
Learning. Empowering.
Empowering, learning.
Innovation.
Innovation, nice. What about back there? Mentoring, that's a great one. That's a good one. Okay, so we're gonna dive into the third activity, so you have to turn your sheet over. And so now that we really know our audience and we know our purpose, this is how we're gonna create the best events that we can for our community. So I really wanna get everyone involved in this one. We're gonna come together and we're gonna talk about events that we've done or maybe we'd like to do. I wanna see some creative things, so I'm gonna put down cookies and code. Okay, everyone, can I get your attention? Clap once if you can hear me. Clap twice if you can hear me. Thanks, everyone. All right, so we got some really cool ideas going on here. Does anyone want to share what they wrote with the rest of the group? Yeah, Prince, please. Yeah, go for it.
So one thing that we did, we did an open source night. So like we had a bunch of people who like really wanted to figure out how does open source work, and then we also wanted to educate people on how do you actually contribute to projects. Because some people don't realize like it's the little things that make a difference. Like I contribute to a project that does emojis for Ruby code, and I love that stuff. And sparkling hearts and whatnot.
Yeah, great, thank you. That's great. What about anyone else want to share what they wrote? So cookies and code is not mine, but it's a really cool one. It's kind of like, I guess a play on wine and cheese almost. So they have cookies and they code. It's really great. I wish that person would have been here, but they're not. So that's okay. So we have Super Smash Tournament, cool, awesome. And again, these don't have to be events that are technical. Again, to be, how do you say, a bit more, to get people engaged, maybe it'll be through different means, right? And they're intimidated, so bringing them to something like a Nerf gun fight could be really interesting, and then engaging them from there. So what I want you to do is for activity number 3, I want you to choose either one of these that are here or one of the ones that I have up here. Sorry, the screen. Does anyone know what a bar camp is? I have a bar camp listed. Would you like to explain what a bar camp is?
I can, yes.
Or someone else. I don't want to put you on spot.
Maybe Will.
Yeah, Will. Let's hear what a bar camp is.
So the way it works is like super casual. You can get a bunch of people together. There's like a nice whiteboard, and it's like a grid, and it's like session slots with like a time and like a location, and you just write down what you want to talk about. It can be completely random, like on the spot, and then everyone who's interested in that topic can go to that location at that time, and then you'll find yourself in a discussion where you're like super involved, and someone will lead that discussion.
Yeah.
Usually the person who wrote down the thing, and then you just have fun for like 15 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Great, thank you. Yeah, and that's really important kind of event because you're letting the community guide the conversation instead of just assuming what's for them. You want to include them in the discussion. It's not for them, it's with them. So take a look at an event and again, work with the worksheet, take about 2-3 minutes, talk to the person next to you, and then hopefully we have some interesting things that come out of exercise 3. does anyone want to share what they discussed with the person next to them, what they wrote down, questions they have, concerns they have? Yeah.
Yeah, Joy just gave me a really good idea of getting more professors involved.
More professors, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one. And do you have any advice on how to get professors engaged in your community, or?
I think it's best to reach out to them very early in the school year.
That's a good one, yeah.
And really promote your event. I know some professors can be against hackathons just
Yeah,
because
definitely.
it can take away time from their classes
Yeah.
or like their exam time.
Yeah.
But I think try to get the professors to be involved. Maybe they can be mentors themselves.
That's great.
The event, just even for an hour.
Yeah.
Connect with their students, not just in the classroom but outside.
Yeah. That's a good one. Yeah, so she mentioned that get your professors involved, and a way to do that is to start out early in the semester and really highlight your events. And maybe they can they'll warm up to the idea of hackathons if they're not, they're not too excited about that. Get them involved maybe as a mentor, that kind of thing. That's great. That's really great. Yeah.
Another thing that we've done in the past, kind of branching off of that, is we've gone to professors and we've asked them to give out extra credit for students going to events and stuff. So that's extra motivation. And
That's
maybe
cool.
they write a little bit about the event.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so even engaging them to encourage students to go to these and somehow give some credit some way, somehow. So work with that idea with the professors. I think that's really important to get them involved as well. Yeah.
Just to make sure that I formed this correctly, can you restate kind of what was the goal?
Yeah, so, for activity number 3? So it was just kind of to get, because a lot of times it's hard to plan an event, especially because, how do you say, you have an idea for an event, but not necessarily what's going to work for your community. And then also thinking about if something goes wrong. I think that's a lot of things that we don't take into consideration. Like if you're having, let's say, a professional speaker come, what do you do if they don't show up? Or what do you do when you plan for 20, 30, 50 people and only 5 show up? So that kind of thing, and I'll just kind of give my example for that. So I think it's really important that, let's say if only 5 people showed up, you plan for 20. I think it's important to not lose the quality and still put on a great show. And let's say you're giving a workshop and there's only 5 people, you can kind of craft it a little more. Don't go through, but go through your slides, but also ask questions, and you can get them more engaged. And maybe your workshop that you originally planned will turn to something else by engaging those 5 people and just taking it down a road that they really want to see. Maybe you plan to, what's an example? You're doing an Android app and you're trying to explain good design, but maybe they want to know more about how to do a login system, and you can kind of craft your workshop that way. So that's a good way to kind of turn around, if only 5 people show up, still do an amazing event. Don't get discouraged. And so start thinking about if things go wrong, if you don't have good internet, what are you going to do? And you need internet, those kind of things. So getting those gears turning kind of thing. Does anyone else want to share what they wrote, maybe?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
To answer that, then, one of the best things that you can probably do is find a club or organization that has great engagement and attendance and success rate.
That's a
find
good
out
one.
what they're doing right.
That's a really good one. So they mentioned that go see other clubs on campus that are being really successful. Find out what they're doing, how they're doing it. That's a really good one as well. That's a really good one. I marked that down. Yeah, does anyone else want to share maybe some tips? Does anyone I'd like to get maybe a discussion going on how to grow your community, maybe a little larger. You want to reach out to more students, maybe only 15, 20 people are coming. If someone asked you that, what would be your input for that? What would you have to say for that kind of thing? Yeah, let's hear it.
Yeah, there's another similar, as you said, another organization at our school called a data science club. And they wanted to have a hackathon, so we partnered with them and helped them co-host an event in the spring when our event is in the fall, and then we can help get their members into our event later when we're having things.
Oh, that's really good. And I think if we're, yeah, go ahead.
Extend your reach is to target involvement fairs, especially at the beginning of the fall semester. Those are huge for trying to pressure.
Yeah, so if you have a frosh week or some kind of club fair, we have those try to get in touch with those people. And again, you'll meet other people organizing clubs, and you're going to go through the same kind of things. And I think one thing I was talking about, Prince, if your group is focused on hackathons, a good kind of entry point to get more people involved is having a pre-event. So one thing that you could do is a hack week. So each night of the week you do a workshop or something on building a website or that kind of thing, or even having just like a mixer. At Hack Concordia, we kind of have an event. It's not right before the hackathon, but it's we have like a launch party for our registration system, which is really cool. I don't know if you want to chime in, but yeah, so we just invite people to come out. We talk about a bit more about our club, why is this launch thing such a cool thing, and let them we get in a circle and they just kind of take off and discuss, engage in discussions. And I think it's really important to give them a platform to start discussing, and again, not just workshops, not just talks, but events where they can come together and talk to other people about what they're interested in. And that's, when you find someone else that's interested in what you're interested in, it's a lot more fun. You're gonna wanna maybe go to events together and that kind of stuff. So giving them a space that they can engage in, and that's why I love bar camps and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I find the launch party is especially good for new students or new hackers, because it's a space for them to just come and ask questions. There isn't even a challenge, there. It's just an information session, so they know that they're going to get information and they don't feel shy that they come in and ask questions.
Yeah, and I think that kind of event sets the tone. So if they feel comfortable, if they feel safe, if they feel supported there, they're going to want to go to the rest of your events. And I think that ties into doing it at the beginning of the semester and keeping them engaged throughout the semester. And so the rest of my slides is just kind of showing you that, knowing your community and knowing your mission is the first step in all this. There's a lot more information that I'd like to give to you, but we only have 45 minutes. I could talk days for this. But it's really up to you to know how to engage and inspire your students. And the best way to do that is to, again, you mentioned, engage with other clubs on campus, especially ones that have been around. Like, how do they do it? What are they doing? And finding out those kind of things. So for event planning, I have some content here. You can go to that link or find me on GitHub, and I made a little repo. And put your input. Make an issue. Maybe you want to talk about something else and jump in. Do a pull request. I'd love to talk a bit more about how to get more new people involved in your club, so I'll start maybe a discussion on there. Thank you. Again, there's a lot more we can talk about. We can continue this, but is there any questions on what we did today? Anything at all? Concerns, comments? How are y'all feeling? It's been a long weekend, eh?
Great.
Yeah. It's sad?
I'm gonna miss you.
I'm gonna miss you too. And that's the credits for this. If you're interested in the slides, you can find them there. I didn't make them. Can't take credit for them. But yeah, thank you.